61. Setting the scene. To set the scene in a story, English uses the past continuous to describe the background situation, and descriptive adjectives to say what a place is like. New language past continuous. Are vocabulary adjectives to describe places. New skill setting the scene for a story. 61.1 Key language past continuous for scene setting. The past continuous is formed the same way when setting a scene as for describing past actions in progress. It was a beautiful day. The sun was shining and the birds were singing. Children were laughing and playing in the street. 210. 61.2 Read the story and write answers to the questions as full sentences. On a busy morning in Georgetown, Special Agent Zoe Gordon was sitting in her car. The picturesque, peaceful little town was looking charming today, surrounded by the magnificent, open country, where colorful wild flowers were blooming. All was well in this magical, rural town. Or was it? People were shopping and chatting on Main Street. Teenagers were skateboarding along the sidewalk, but Zoe was watching the alleyway between two stores. On the other side of the street, two more agents were in position, waiting for someone to appear. At 11:00, a suspicious-looking man came out of the alleyway, carrying a large bag. The two agents followed him, and Zoe started her car. Where was Agent Zoe Gordon sitting? She was sitting in her car. What were people doing on Main Street? Where were teenagers skateboarding? 3. What was Zoe watching? What were the two other agents doing? 6. What was the suspect carrying? 61.3 Match the definitions to the words. Very impressive and beautiful, brightly colored, quiet and calm, picturesque, peaceful, true, magnificent, pretty or charming, open, in the country, colorful, not enclosed or fenced, magical, mysterious or wonderful, rural. 61.4 Listen to the audio and answer the questions. You will hear the beginning of a short story. Sam's face was getting very cold. False. Not given. People were walking slowly down the street. True. False. Not given. Greater than the waitress was wearing colorful clothes. True. False. Not given. Sam was eating a cheese sandwich. True. False. Not given. Sam didn't know what the boy was carrying. True. False. Not given. 61.5 Read the diary and fill in the gaps using the words. In the panel. September 2013. 21 Saturday. Walking. Were looking. Coffee in a. Today we were walking in the country. The mountains against the blue sky. There were flowers everywhere, and the children were bunches of them to take home. We stopped for Little Village and we sat in the picturesque, colorful, magical, magnificent sunshine while the children played in the playground. It was a really day. Picking. 61 Checklist. Past continuous. Adjectives to describe places. Setting the scene for a story. 211. 62 Interrupted actions. English often uses the past continuous and the past simple together to tell stories, especially when one event interrupts another. New language past continuous and past simple are vocabulary travel and leisure. New skill describing interrupted actions. 62.1 Key language past continuous and past simple. When English uses the past continuous and past simple together, the past continuous describes a longer, background action, and the past simple describes a shorter action that interrupts the background action. Longer background action. Shorter main action. I was taking a photo when a monkey grabbed my camera. 62.2 Further examples past continuous and past simple. He was sunbathing when it started to rain. She was sleeping when the phone rang. 62.3 Listen to the audio and mark which tense describes the activity in each picture. 212. Past continuous past simple. Past continuous past simple. Past continuous past simple. Past continuous, past simple. 00. Past
Vamos,
continuous.
to Diego
Past
Pellegrini.
simple. 62.4 Fill in the gaps by putting the verbs in the correct tenses. When I got back, get back. To my room, a cleaner was vacuuming. Vacuum. It. When I center. The forest, a monkey. Swing. Through the trees. To the next day, Chloe. Opening parenthesis. Read. A book when Russell. 3 Kelly and Dean. Surf. When Dean. Walk. Into the cafe. Fall. Off his board. For we. See. Some baby turtles while we. Opening parenthesis. Jog. Along the beach. 62.5 Read the email and answer the questions. Caleb met Owen in a cafe. True. False. Not given. 2. Francis Smith subject. Barley. Caleb and Owen were sunbathing when Owen saw a shark. True. False. Not given. Greater than Caleb and Owen stopped sunbathing because they got too hot. True. False. Not given. 3. Caleb hurt his ankle because he was rushing back to the hotel. True. False. Not given. Owen enjoyed the party. True. False. Not given. 5. Caleb missed his plane home. True. False. Not given. I'm having a fantastic time here in Bali. Last week I met my old friend Owen. I was just having a drink in a cafe when he turned up. We had a few adventures after that. On Saturday, we were swimming in the sea when Owen saw a shark, so we got out quickly. Later we were sunbathing when it started raining hard. We were running back to the hotel when I fell over. I hurt my ankle, so I missed a party we were supposed to go to that night. Owen went, but he stayed too long and missed his plane. He's so disorganized. We should meet up when I'm back from Bali. See you soon, Caleb. X. 0T. 213. RR 62.6 Read the email and match the adjectives that have similar meanings. 2. Jenna. Charlie. Tamako. Very interesting. Ancient. Busy and crowded. Bizarre. Strange. Subject. Having a great time. Hi everyone. We've just spent 4 fascinating days in Fez. What an experience. Fez is a bizarre mix of the ancient and the modern. The new city is growing all the time, and there are construction sites everywhere, but the old part of Fez is still intact. Nothing has really changed there for centuries. We spent most of our time in the bustling Medina area. Of course, everyone wants to go there and it's very touristy, but it was fun getting lost in the intricate network of narrow lanes and seeing sacks of exotic spices and dried flowers around every corner. We're off to Marrakesh tomorrow. Very old. Complicated. Not damaged or changed. 214. See you soon. Ali and Phil. Less than. Fascinating. Intact. Bustling. Touristy. Colorful and unusual. Intricate. Popular with tourists. Exotic. 62.7 Say the sentences out loud, filling in the gaps. He was eating. Eat. A burger when. A seagull. Stole. Opening parenthesis. Steal. It. She. Opening parenthesis. Surf. When. She. Opening parenthesis. Fall. Off her board. I. When the waiter. Opening parenthesis. Read. The menu. It. Opening parenthesis. Start. To rain while. They. Opening parenthesis. Dance. Outside. Opening parenthesis. Dive. When I. Opening parenthesis. See. A shark. He. Opening parenthesis. Find. A starfish. Opening parenthesis. Arrive. Dot. While he. Opening parenthesis. Lie. In the sun. 62.8 Cross out the incorrect words in each sentence. I was watching a great movie on TV when the phone rang, was ringing. Felipe took, was taking a long bath when someone knocked, was knocking on his door. 2. Karen met, was meeting her old friend Madeline while she traveled, was traveling in Australia. Christopher cooked, was cooking dinner when his party guests arrived, were arriving early. We learned, were learning to speak Thai while we stayed, were staying in Bangkok. 6. I wrote, was writing a report when my boss asked, was asking me to come to her office. 62.9 Fill in the gaps using the words in the panel. Hi Emily. Carrying. Paul and I are having a great time in Marrakesh. Today we were walking in the old part of the city when we saw an old man. Actually, he looked basket, so I offered to carry it for him. The old man was bustling. ! He was a large, heavy, walking, playing at me, but I nervous, so I gave the basket to Paul. Suddenly, fascinating. We arrived in a square with market stalls and people everywhere. I looked for the old man. He was sitting with the basket, the flute, and out of the basket came 2 open. He was enormous snakes. I'd never seen anything like it in my life. It was they were moving to the music he was playing. It was to watch, but I didn't offer to carry his basket again. Felt bizarre. Smiling. Ancient. Love Hania. 62 Checklist. Past continuous and past simple. Travel and leisure. Describing interrupted actions. 215. 63 Events in the past. English uses the past simple passive to talk about events in the past when it is the effect of an action that is important, rather than the cause of the action. 63.1 Key language. The past simple passive. You can use the past simple passive to emphasize the importance of actions and events in the past and to draw attention to the things. New language. Past simple passive. Vocabulary. Environmental disasters. New skill talking about important events or people that were affected by the events. Past simple passive. The buildings were destroyed in a fire. Use the passive to emphasize the effect rather than the cause. 33. 333. 333. 63.2 Further examples. The past simple passive. 18. 3. The trees were cut down last year. The railway line was damaged during the storm. 2 people were injured in the accident. 63.3 How to form the past simple passive. Subject. Was, were. Past participle. Rest of sentence. The buildings. The thing that receives the action. Were. Destroyed. Use, was, for singular subjects, or, were, for plural subjects. The main verb is expressed as a past participle. 216. In a fire. 63.4 Fill in the gaps by putting the verbs in the past simple passive. 3. Closing curly bracket. Many trees were burned. Opening parenthesis. Burn. In a forest fire last night. Several buildings. Opening parenthesis. Destroy. After a powerful earthquake. Opening parenthesis. Demolish. Because it was unsafe. The factory. Many homes. Opening parenthesis. Flood. After the river burst its banks. The explorer. Opening parenthesis. Rescue. After she got lost in the mountains. The beaches. My train. Opening parenthesis. Cover. In oil this morning. Opening parenthesis. Delay. Because a tree fell onto the line. 63.5 Say the sentences out loud, changing them from the past simple active to the past simple passive. Someone burned down the building. The building was burned down. Something polluted the lake. Something destroyed the factory. 4. Someone hurt the animals. Someone spilled the oil into the ocean. Something damaged many people's homes. 217. 63.6 Vocabulary. Disasters and environmental issues. Oil spill. deforestation, air pollution, global warming, yong, smog, flood, shipwreck, overpopulation. 26. 63.7 Read the article and write answers to the questions as full sentences. Daily news. Chemical spill turns lake red. Following an explosion at Banda Chemical Factory last night, toxic chemicals were released into the air. Lake Banda, which provides water for the factory, was turned red by the chemicals, which were carried into the lake by last night's rain. Thousands of fish were killed, local farmers' crops were destroyed, and this morning the entire Banda area was declared a disaster area. The CEO of Banda Chemicals apologized for the leak and said the company was doing everything possible to clean the lake and surrounding countryside. Local farmer John Hawkins said, "My business was ruined last night. I just hope Banda Chemicals will help us now." Single quote. What happened to the chemicals last night? The chemicals were released into the air. What happened to Lake Banda? Question mark. How did the chemicals get into the lake? 3. What happened to thousands of fish? What happened to local farmers' crops? 6. What happened to the Banda area? What happened to John Hawkins' business? 218. 63.8 Listen to the audio and answer the questions. A news reporter interviews Rosie, an eyewitness, and Jose, a vet, about an oil spill. The birds were covered in oil. True, false. Not given. Rosie thought there had been an oil spill. True, false, not given. The emergency services were not called. True, false, not given. The birds were cleaned on the beach. True. False. Not given. Many of the birds were killed. True, false, not given. The oil spill happened after a shipwreck. True, false, not given. The ship ran into some rocks. True, false, not given. The public were not allowed on the beach. True, false. Not given. Past simple passive. Are environmental disasters. Talking about important events. 63 Checklist. Review the English you have learned in Units 59 to 63. New language. Past continuous. Collocations with take. Collocations with make. Collocations with have. Past continuous for scene setting. Past continuous and past simple. Sample sentence. I was having lunch with a friend. It takes time to build a good team. It's tempting to rush things if you want to make progress. It's worth having a discussion with your neighbors. The sun was shining and the birds were singing. I was taking a photo when a monkey grabbed my camera. Past simple passive. 0, 0, 0. Unit. 59.1. 59.8. 59.8. 59.8. 61.1. 6. 62.1. The buildings were destroyed in a fire. 63.1. 219. 64 Before and after. English uses the past perfect with the past simple to talk about two or more events that happened at different times in the past. New language past perfect and past simple are vocabulary visual arts. New skill describing sequences of past events. 64.1 Key language past perfect and past simple. The past simple describes the event that is closest to the time of speaking. The past perfect describes an event further back in the past. Past perfect. Past simple. The train had left before we arrived at the station. 8:10 p.m. 8:20 p.m. Now. 64.2 Further examples past perfect and past simple. I knocked on Pablo's door, but he had already gone to work. 220. 7:00 a.m. 7:30 a.m. Now. The traffic was bad because a car had broken down on the road. 2:30 p.m. 3:00 p.m. Now. 64.3 How to form the past perfect. Use had followed by the past participle to form the past perfect. Subject. The train. Had. Past participle. Had. Left. Had does not change. With the subject. Rest of sentence. Before we arrived at the station. The past participle describes the action in the past. 64.4 Match the beginnings of the sentences to the correct endings. When we arrived at the stadium, a tree had fallen on the road. I offered Logan some pasta. I hadn't seen Emma for years. We felt absolutely exhausted. She couldn't catch the train, so I couldn't drive to work. But he had already eaten lunch. After we had run the marathon, the game had already started. Because she had left her ticket at home. But I recognized her immediately. 64.5 Fill in the gaps by putting the verbs in the past perfect or past simple. We had spend 14 days in Vietnam and we were, opening parenthesis, be sorry to leave. Although she, opening parenthesis, meet only a few times, I arrive late at work because she, opening parenthesis, no, we would get along, opening parenthesis, miss the bus, the sun, opening parenthesis, rise, and it, opening parenthesis, be time to start work in the fields. Joe, opening parenthesis, be delighted because his parents, Henry, opening parenthesis, cook dinner when Sally, opening parenthesis, buy the perfect birthday present, opening parenthesis, get back from work. 221. 64.6 Read the article and write answers to the questions as full sentences. Design focus. Home. 1 Artists. 1 About. Contact. Eva Johansson. The life and career of the great ceramic artist. When Eva Johansson was a child, all she wanted to do was draw and paint. Her father, Per, wanted Eva to follow in his footsteps and become an engineer. Eva tried to please her father and worked hard at school, but after she had failed her science exams, Eva's father finally allowed her to study art. At art school, Eva discovered her lifelong passion: ceramics. She had never worked with clay before she started college. However, once she had made her first pots, she realized how much she loved ceramics. The rest, of course, is history. By the end of the 20th century, Eva had sold her works to every major museum of art. What did Eva like to do when she was a child? Eva liked to draw and paint. Oh, what had Per wanted his daughter to be? How did Eva approach her school work? 11,111. Where did Eva discover her passion for ceramics? What hadn't Eva done before starting art school? When did Eva realize that she loved ceramics? 3. What did Per do after Eva had failed her exams? What had happened by the late 1990s? 222. 64.7 Listen to the audio and answer the questions. Tony and Erin are talking about last night's party. Tony noticed Jackie right away. True. False. Not given. Jackie was too shy to talk to Tony. True. False. Not given. 2. Tony and Jackie were chatting all night. True. False. Not given. Tony will see Jackie again. True. False. Not given. Erin thought Martin would be at the party. True. False. Not given. 5. Martin and Jeff don't like each other. True. False. Not given. Martin left the party early. True. False. Not given. 64.8 Say the sentences out loud, filling in the gaps by putting the verbs in the past perfect or past simple. He had viewed. View. The house before he took. Opening parenthesis. Take. His wife to see it. She. Too. After he. Opening parenthesis. Read. A review of the book before she. Opening parenthesis. Buy. It. Opening parenthesis. Finish. Watching the movie, he. Opening parenthesis. Go. To bed. Opening parenthesis. Ask. Katie for a ride to work because I. Opening parenthesis. Miss. My train. He. Opening parenthesis. Study. Very hard before he. Opening parenthesis. Take. His exams. Andy only. Opening parenthesis. Resign. Once he. Opening parenthesis. Find. A new job. They. Opening parenthesis. Discuss. All the options before they. Opening parenthesis. Make. A decision. 64 checklist. Past perfect and past simple. Visual arts. Describing sequences of past events. 223. 65 first times. When you talk about the first time something happened, such as visiting a new place, you often use never or ever with the past perfect or present perfect. New language, never, ever, with past tenses are vocabulary travel adjectives. New skill describing new experiences. 65.1 key language past perfect with never, ever. Use the past perfect with never or ever to talk about events in the past that happened for the first time. Past simple. Past perfect with never. Leo was very excited. He had never visited Rome before. Past simple. Never means this had not happened before. It sits between had and the past participle. Past perfect with ever. Leo was very excited. It was the first time he had ever visited Rome. Ever emphasizes that this is the first time it had happened. 65.2 Cross out the incorrect word in each sentence. Tom had never, ever been on a plane before his trip to Madagascar. Last summer was the first time we had never, ever gone camping. It rained every day. 2 I had never, ever eaten risotto until I went to Milan. Now I cook it for myself at home. They had never, ever been overseas before they went to Paris. They thought the flight was exciting. We traveled overnight from Bangkok. It was the first time I had never, ever slept on a train. 6 I heard you went to Madrid last month. Was that the first time you had never, ever been there? James had never, ever been bungee jumping until he tried it in New Zealand last year. 224. 65.3 Key language present perfect with never, ever. Use the present perfect with never or ever to talk about events that are happening now for the first time. Present simple. Present perfect with never. Nat is very excited. She has never visited Sydney before. Present simple. Never means that this has not happened before. It sits between has and the past participle. Present perfect with ever. Nat is very excited. It's the first time she has ever visited Sydney. Ever emphasizes that this is the first time it has happened. 65.4 Fill in the gaps using have in the correct tense. Tamal is very nervous, but also excited. He has never tried skydiving before. I'm speechless. It's the first time I ever seen a lion in the wild. Sam and Ellie don't know what to expect. They never been on a cruise. Marisha never been skiing before she went to the Alps. Now she loves it. When I went to Berlin, it was the first time I ever been on vacation alone. We never flown for longer than 4 hours until we went to Cuba. The children can't wait. It will be the first time they ever traveled by train. 225. 65.5 Read the passage and write the highlighted words next to their definitions. Lots of space. Completely empty. 2 Extremely old. In poor condition. Very pleasant. 6 Tall buildings. Cozy and relaxing. Well liked. Are all in one room. Pipe 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 pipe. Spacious. 14 Travel Guide to Germany. A day tour of Berlin. Morning. Head to Checkpoint Charlie and see the derelict remains of the Berlin Wall. This is a popular tourist site, so be prepared for crowds. After this, visit the charming Fassbender and Rausch, the world's largest chocolatier. Explore the open-plan shop and have lunch in the comfortable tea room. Afternoon. Go to the spacious Tiergarten. This park is so large that it can sometimes feel deserted. Brandenburg Gate. While from here, walk to the not ancient. It dates from 1791. This massive stone arch is nonetheless impressive and is the symbol of Berlin. High-rise buildings in there aren't too many Berlin, but the Berliner Fernsehturm, the tallest building in Germany, has a restaurant at the top with great views of Berlin. 65.6 Fill in the gaps using the words in the panel. Derelict. It had never been looked after properly. And airy. We loved it. The building was old and we rented an apartment in Egypt. The rooms were very too. This bed is so. I don't think I've ever had such a good night's sleep. The famous Parthenon in Athens is such an amazing. New town is a very trendy place and is. 6 When we got to the beach, it was. Temple. With young people. Lots of students live there. We were the only people there. Buildings in Chicago. The tallest is 110 stories high. Village. The houses are attractive and the main square is very pleasant. There are a lot of. This is such a ancient, charming, comfortable, derelict, deserted, spacious, high-rise, popular. 226. 65.7 Listen to the audio and answer the questions. Xavi is telling his new friend, Elsa, about sights in his hometown of Barcelona. Elsa has never been to Spain before. True, false, not given. Lots of people visit the Sagrada Familia. True, false, not given. Elsa would like to visit the Picasso Museum. True, false, not given. Xavi hasn't shown a visitor around his city before. True. False. Not given. Elsa knows about the Bunkers del Carmel. True, false. Not given. There is a great view from the Bunkers del Carmel. True, false, not given. The bunkers were always in good condition. True, false, not given. 65.8 Say the sentences out loud using EVER, OR, NEVER, filling in the gaps. I didn't know her before. I met her yesterday. Yesterday was the first time I had ever met her. Before I went to Japan, I hadn't eaten miso soup. Ben is so excited. It's his first time on a plane. Ben is so excited. He has. 4 Until now, Jen has never traveled alone. It's. Until last week Don had never been to Iceland. Last week was. I had never gone sailing before last year. Last year was. 65. Checklist. Never, ever, with past tenses. Travel adjectives. Describing new experiences. 227. 66 Vocabulary. 66.1 Common English idioms. She had agreed to make a speech, but at the last minute she got cold feet. Get cold feet. Opening square bracket. Have a sudden loss of confidence. I was feeling under the weather for a few days, but I'm better now. Feel under the weather. Opening square bracket. Feel unwell. 228. It's obvious that they're head over heels in love with each other. Be head over heels. Opening square bracket. Be completely and utterly in love with someone. You're exactly right about Dad. He's so lazy. You've hit the nail on the head. Hit the nail on the head. To describe exactly what is causing a situation or problem. I've got so much to do. Do you think you can lend a hand? Lend a hand. Opening square bracket. Help someone. I slept terribly last night. I'm really not on the ball today. Be on the ball. Opening square bracket. Be alert, knowledgeable, or competent. I heard on the grapevine that Marina got the job. Hear something on the grapevine. Hear information or news via gossip or rumor. I'm really working against the clock to submit my essay on time. Be against the clock. Opening square bracket. Be under time pressure to get something done. The children won't behave today. They're a pain in the neck. Be a pain in the neck. Opening square bracket. Be a nuisance. Aziz told his aunt that he'd keep an eye on her house while she was away. Keep an eye on. Opening square bracket. Look after or watch carefully. Peter always helps his grandma with her bags. He has a heart of gold. Have a heart of gold. Opening square bracket. To be kind and good-natured. I have no idea who to vote for. I'm sitting on the fence. Sit on the fence. Opening square bracket. Be unwilling to commit or make a decision. Sandra is a teacher's pet. She always arrives early and stays late. Teacher's pet. Opening square bracket. Someone who seeks and gets approval from a person in a position of authority. They cut corners to get the project finished, and the quality really suffered. Cut corners. Opening square bracket. To do something the easiest or shortest way, at the expense of high standards. As usual, Paula's reaction to her team losing was over the top. Over the top. Opening square bracket. An overreaction or a lack of restraint. I think I'm going to get into trouble for this, but I'm ready to face the music. Face the music. Opening square bracket. Confront the consequences of your actions. My aunt tells great stories, but we take what she says with a pinch of salt. Take something with a pinch of salt. Not completely believe something or someone. It's time you let your hair down. You have worked so hard. Let your hair down. Opening square bracket. Let yourself go or relax. I wouldn't take what Derek said seriously. He was just pulling your leg. Pull someone's leg. Opening square bracket. Tease or fool someone. I've done all I can. The ball is in your court now. The ball is in your court. Opening square bracket. You are responsible for the next move. B. 229. 67 Telling a story. The past continuous, past simple, and past perfect are often used together to describe past events in detail. This is especially helpful for telling stories. 67.1 Key language narrative tenses. The past continuous is used to set the scene. The past simple describes actions in the story. The past perfect is used to talk about things that happened before the beginning of the story. New language narrative tenses are vocabulary idioms for storytelling new skill using different past tenses. A crowd of people were celebrating the new year when one of the young men kneeled down in front of his girlfriend and asked her to marry him. He had planned everything down to the last detail. Past continuous. Past perfect. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Past simple. Now. 67.2 Fill in the gaps by putting the verbs in the correct tenses. It was raining. Opening parenthesis. Rain. Heavily, so he rushed. Opening parenthesis. Rush. To the train station. Before I. To Lauren. Opening parenthesis. Start. The trip. I. Cross. The road when she. Opening parenthesis. Plan. Which route I would take. 3. Always. Opening parenthesis. Want. To visit Brazil, and I finally. 4. Jason. Opening parenthesis. Read. A book in the park when a wasp. Opening parenthesis. See. The robber inside the bank. Opening parenthesis. Go. There last year. Opening parenthesis. Sting. Him. 230. 67.3 Fill in the gaps using the phrases in the panel. It was a stormy night on Station Road. The rain was falling heavily, hard for an exam. Inside her bedroom, Bella. She. Raindrops. Nervous. The storm outside made it difficult to concentrate. gently down the glass. She watched them in silence. As she watched the raindrops, she began to relax. 15 minutes later, the storm ended. Bella, so calm, breathed deeply, had never felt, was falling, was feeling, was studying, were sliding. 67.4 Listen to the audio and answer the questions. Jonah tells Ben how he proposed to his girlfriend. Ben heard a rumor that Jonah was engaged. True. False. Lizzie didn't want to get married. True. False. Jonah proposed to Lizzie during their vacation. True. False. Jonah wanted his proposal to be unusual. True. False. Jonah bought a special plate after he proposed. True. False. 6. Jonah almost got too nervous to propose. True. False. Ben thinks Lizzie really loves Jonah. True. False. 67 Checklist. Narrative tenses are idioms for storytelling, using different past tenses. 231. 68 What happened when? English uses a number of words and phrases to show the order in which past events occurred. They are often called adverbials of time, and are useful when telling a story. New language time adverbs and phrases are our vocabulary storytelling devices. New skill putting events in order. 68.1 Key language time adverbs and phrases. Same time. These phrases show two events. Happened at the same time. They are often used with descriptions in the past continuous. Just as and at the very moment. Go before the verb they modify. Just as we were getting on the train, we saw her getting off. Blake's phone rang at the very moment he was signing the papers. After. These phrases show one event happened after, or as a result of, another. They are often used with descriptions in the past simple. Shows something happened after. He fell backward, and subsequently fell into the tray of paint. Shows something happened as a result. Consequently, he made a terrible mess on the floor. Before. These phrases show one event happened before another. They are often used with descriptions in the past perfect. You hui mai sits before the verb it modifies. As soon as the babysitter had arrived, they put on their coats. Sits before the verb it modifies. She became famous shortly after. She had released her first album. Sits after the verb it modifies. Mr. Jones had moved to the city not long before. 232. I met him. 68.2 Fill in the gaps using the phrases in the panel. Just as. I was coming out of the cafe, I saw my friends on the other side of the street. He broke his leg while skiing and had to take 3 weeks off work. 2. The first guests arrived at 7 p.m. and the others came. I was about to call her to tell her the good news. That. She called me. 5. They had got married. It had stopped raining, we went for a walk. They moved to Wellington in New Zealand. Not long before. Consequently just as. At the very moment as soon as. Shortly after. 68.3 Say the sentences out loud, adding in the time adverbs. He was finishing his report. I was finishing mine. Opening parenthesis. Just as. He was finishing his report just as I was finishing mine. Our first child was born. We had bought the house. Opening parenthesis. Shortly after. Question mark. They worked very well together. They went into business together. Opening parenthesis. Subsequently. We went to the beach. The weather had improved. Opening parenthesis. As soon as. They had moved to London. She started her new job. Opening parenthesis. Not long before. 233. 68.4 Read the article and write answers to the questions as full sentences. True stories. Bitten by a shark in a supermarket. An ambulance crew was. A recently to a local superstore where, not long before, a trainee fish seller had been bitten by a shark. Fish sellers wear special hygienic boots while at work. Just as the poor trainee was putting on these boots, he lost his balance. He fell backward and subsequently stepped barefoot into a large tray containing a dead, open-mouthed shark. When the trainee stood on the lower jaw of the shark, the upper jaw snapped down on his foot, trapping it completely. By the time the ambulance arrived, the boy had gone into shock. As soon as he was free, the crew took him to the hospital. Just as they were closing the ambulance doors, the victim's colleagues started clapping and laughing. The trainee is reported to have observed, "I suppose they'll be calling me Jaws now." Single quote. Who had been bitten by a shark not long before the ambulance crew arrived. The trainee fish seller had been bitten by a shark. What happened just as the trainee was putting on his boots? Question mark. What happened when he stood on the lower jaw of the shark? 3. Where did the trainee fish seller go as soon as the ambulance crew had freed him? 234. What did his colleagues do just as the crew were closing the ambulance doors? 68.5 Listen to the audio and answer the questions. Gareth tells his friend Maria about a disagreement he had with his neighbors. Gareth moved into his new house in July. True. False. Not given. He met his neighbors on the day that he moved in. True. False. Not given. He was friendly with his neighbors when they first met. True. False. Not given. The neighbors were both doctors. True. False. Jim wanted to tell Gareth how to paint. True. False. Gareth spoke to his neighbors last week. True. False. Not given. Not given. Not given. 68. Checklist. Time adverbs and phrases. Are storytelling devices. Putting events in order. Review the English you have learned in Units 64 to 68. New language. Past perfect and past simple. Past perfect with never, ever. Present perfect with never, ever. Narrative tenses. Past continuous. Narrative tenses. Past simple. Narrative tenses. Past perfect. Sample sentence. Pablo had gone to work when I went to his house. He had never visited Rome before. It was the first time he had ever visited Rome. She has never visited Sydney before. It's the first time she has ever visited Sydney. A crowd of people were celebrating the new year. Dot, 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 dot. When one of the men kneeled down in front of his girlfriend and asked her to marry him. He had planned everything down to the last detail. Time adverbs and phrases. Unit. 64.1. 0. 65.1. 65.3. 67.1. 0. 67.1. 67.1. Just as we were getting on the bus, we saw her. 68.1. 235. 69. What other people said. We call the words that people say direct speech. If you want to tell someone what another person has said, it is called reported speech. 69.1 Key language reported speech. In reported speech, the main verb usually goes back a tense. For example, the present simple. New language reported speech. Our vocabulary work and education new skill talking about people's lives. I feel sick. Direct speech uses the present simple. Changes to the past simple. Luke said that he felt sick. I hope he's okay. Reported speech uses the past simple here. 69.2 Further examples reported speech. Your house is really beautiful. She said our house was really beautiful. Your suit looks great. He said that my suit looked great. Tip you can leave out that after said in reported speech. 69.3 How to form reported speech. The main verb in reported speech is usually said. The rest of the sentence is usually in the past tense. Subject. Luke. said, that. Subject, he. Past simple, felt. 236. The person who said the direct speech. Past simple of, say. Single quote, that. Sometimes follows, said, but can be left out. The subject of the sentence in direct speech. Sick. Present simple in direct speech becomes past simple. In reported speech. 69.4 Rewrite the sentences using reported speech. I live in San Diego. I usually cycle to work. Equals. Pipe. He said that he lived in San Diego. She. I'm a chef in a busy restaurant. Pipe. He. I'm married, and I have 2 children. Equals. She. My wife is an English teacher. Pipe. Equals. He. I want to have my own restaurant. Equals. She. 69.5 Listen to the audio and answer the questions. Yesterday, Maya met Alfonso at a college reunion. What did Alfonso say that he wanted to do next year? Take a long vacation. Buy a new car. Q00. Greater than what did Kara say she wanted to do? With the attic? Turn it into an office. Turn it into a spare room. Turn it into a studio. What did Jan say had happened to Maya? She had sold all her paintings. She had gone to New York. 000. Get a new job. What did Alfonso say was good about Roberto's house from his point of view? It's a bargain. There's room for a studio. It's a beautiful house. 000. Her exhibition had gone well. What did Alfonso say when he heard Maya's news? He loved her photos. He wanted to buy a photo. Her news was exciting. 000. 237. 69.6 Key language reported speech in different tenses. The tense in reported speech is usually one tense back in time from the tense in direct speech. I'm working in New York. Present continuous. She said she was working in New York. Past continuous. I've been to China twice. Present perfect. He said that he'd been to China twice. I will call you soon. He said he would call them soon. Past perfect. Future with will. Modal verb would. We can speak Japanese. Modal verb can. They said that they could speak Japanese. Modal verb could. 69.7 Key language reported speech and the past simple. The past simple in direct speech can either stay as the past simple or change to the past perfect in reported speech. The meaning is the same. I arrived in Delhi on Saturday. He said he arrived in Delhi on Saturday. He said he'd arrived in Delhi on Saturday. Direct speech with past simple. Reported speech with past simple or past perfect. 238. 69.8 Read the article and answer the questions in full sentences. Teaching today. Teaching in Swaziland. Maria Colston, an experienced teacher, takes a working vacation in Africa. I'm in Swaziland, have already learned so. Working in Swaziland, where I visited 5. Much. It's a great opportunity to be able to watch these talented teachers. They work miracles in their classrooms every day. They don't have the resources we take for granted in my school at home, but they really inspire their students. Next week I'm planning to give a workshop for all the teachers that I've met here. I really hope they'll enjoy it. Single quote. Where did Maria say she was working? Maria said she was working in Swaziland. Oh, what did Maria say she had visited? What did Maria say was a great opportunity? What did Maria say the teachers did every day? What did Maria say she was planning to do? What did Maria say she hoped would happen? 69.9 Say the sentences out loud as reported speech. I'll visit you on Sunday. She said that she would visit me on Sunday. I'm looking for a new job. He, too, I really enjoyed the party. You. 3. We've just been swimming. They. I can play the piano quite well. She. 6. I've brought some presents for the children. You. I'm going to write a novel. He. 69. Checklist. Reported speech are work and education. Talking about people's lives. 239. 70. Telling things to people. You can use both say and tell in reported speech. The meaning is the same, but using tell allows you to specify who someone was talking to. New language reported speech with tell are vocabulary collocations with say and tell. New skill talking about truth and lies. 70.1 Key language, SAY and TELL in reported speech. In reported speech, you can say who someone is talking to when you use tell as the main verb. Tell must be followed by an object. I want to learn to drive. He said. With say, you do not need an object to show who someone is talking to. Told me that he wanted to learn to drive. In reported speech, you must put an object after tell to show who someone is talking to. 70.2 Further examples, SAY and TELL in reported speech. Asterisk asterisk. She said that she could come to the party. She told me that she had a very stressful job. He said he would be late to the meeting. You can leave out that in reported speech with said. Single quote. They told us they were buying a new house. You can also leave out that in reported speech with told. Single quote. 70.3 A common mistakes, SAY and TELL in reported speech. He said that he had a fast car. He said me that he had a fast car. X. Said, cannot have an object. He told me that he had a fast car. He told that he had a fast car. Told, must have an object. 240. 70.4 Fill in the gaps by adding SAID-OR, told. She said. She enjoyed meeting people. She wanted some ice cream. They had a new car. We. Her the train was delayed. He had gotten married. You would cook tonight. He was at a birthday party. Him I had to work late. 70.5 Use the chart to create 12 correct sentences and say them out loud. He said he was going on safari. Said. She was. Me. She was. Going on safari. Told. Us. 70.6 Listen to the audio and answer the questions. Grace has been on a date. She tells her friend Robin about it. Grace believed that her date was 30. True, false, not given. Oh, Grace's date told her he hated gardening. True, false, not given. Oh, Grace wanted to have dinner with her date. True, false, not given. Oh, Grace's date said he had a fast car. True, false, not given. Robin said Grace's date was telling the truth. True, false, not given. Oh, Grace told Carla her date was too young. True, false, not given. 241. 70.7 Key language time and place references. If you report speech some time after it was said, you might need to use different words to talk about times and places. The time reference is yesterday in direct speech. I went to work yesterday. She said she'd been to work the day before. The time reference is the day before in reported speech. April 25, April 26, April 27. RR 70.8 Match the sentences in direct speech with their equivalents in reported speech. I'll call you tomorrow. The weather is nice here. We'll have a party this weekend. I saw you last week. I'm starting a new job today. She said she'd seen me the week before. You told her you were starting a new job that day. She told me the weather was nice there. He said he'd call me the following day. They said they'd have a party that weekend. 70.9 Rewrite the sentences using reported speech. I'll finish the report tomorrow. Equals. He said he'd finish the report the following day. I bought a new car yesterday. Greater than Regina is leaving the company today. There are lots of restaurants here. Equals. She told me. Equals. They said. Equals. She said. I'm going to a party this weekend. Equals. He told us. We sold our apartment last week. Equals. They told me. 242. 70.10 Read the article and mark the correct summary. Your relationships. When is it okay to tell lies? We know it's wrong to tell lies, but sometimes we don't tell the truth for good reasons. Given the choice of saying something nice but untrue, saying nothing, or telling someone a truth that's hurtful, what do you do? To avoid conflict, people often say yes when they should say no, or just say anything that comes into their heads as long as it keeps them out of trouble. We also often believe that people are being honest, just because they say so. We gave 50 people a questionnaire to complete. Of the people we asked, 10% said they lie about their age and think people can't tell the difference. 80% think it's okay to tell a white lie to avoid hurting someone. As many as 58% think it's okay to tell a story to hide something they did wrong. 10% said they didn't tell lies at all. Do you believe them? We all know it's fine to tell lies, because we often have to. In a tricky situation, the only choices we have are not to say anything at all or say something nice but untrue. Although we know it's wrong to lie, 80% of the people interviewed said it's okay to lie in order to be kind to someone. More than 50% said it was okay to lie about something they'd done wrong. These days, very few people say yes when they mean no. What's more, over 85% of people believe that everyone knows when we are lying about our age. Most people believe that we should always be honest and not tell lies at all. 70.11 Write the words from the panel in the correct groups. Collocations with say something. Collocations with tell the truth. Lies. Someone.